Hey, great students. Welcome to our student interview for today. We are talking with Kyra. So Kyra, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So as he has already said, my name's Kyra, and I'm a junior, and I go to Grace Youth, and I've been in Grace Youth for a long time now.
She kind of grew up here.
Yeah.
So where are you recording from?
I'm actually recording in my sister's room because I spilled coffee all over my room. So that was kind of a bit of disaster, and I would have cleaned it up and recorded in there, but it was literally probably 30 seconds before I joined the Zoom call. So I had to switch rooms real fast.
So is it just going to stain, or do you have a maid cleaning it for you?
No said maid. I wish, but I kind of just dabbed all the coffee up with a towel, and I'm gonna clean it up later. Hopefully my mom doesn't watch this. So
Oh, I think you're safe. I think only my mom watches it, so I think we'll be safe. Well, yeah. Anyway, so what have you been up to over the past few weeks?
pretty much just school. It's a lot of school. I feel like since we can't actually be there, it feels like a lot more. Because you're doing it on your own time. But I've had a lot of time to practice a bunch of different things that I don't really have time for since I'm involved in a lot of extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
So it's been good for that and a lot more family time, I guess. Maybe a little too much, but it's okay.
I think we're all feeling that a little bit too much. I know our dog, I think I mentioned this previously, but our dog I think is like getting the brunt of this. I think because she just sleeps all day, but I think she's tired of everyone being home constantly. So I think everyone's kind of coming to that. We love you, but leave. Right? That's the nice thing about family is like you get to be with them, but then at sometimes you could just leave. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
for
Sometimes you
sure.
just want to get away from it all. I'm pretty sure our cats hate us now, but it's okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
But cats hate everyone anyways, so like that's just in their nature. But
Yeah, guess so. Sometimes they can be nice, but it just
yeah.
depends on the mood.
Who do your cats like do they have a favorite person in normal circumstances?
Um, we only have one boy, so we have five cats, and we only have one boy cat. That boy cat really just he kind of moseys around and just I guess he just wants attention from everybody. And then another cat, like both that cat and then a different one, really like my dad. And which is funny because my dad's the one who never wanted cats in the first place, but that's not the
See,
it's not the
that's the misunderstanding about dads is they like put on this front. They're like, "Oh, I don't
yeah,
want animals," and then like the animals come into their home and
yeah, then they're the best friends.
so
Exactly.
there's like I think that's like a whole like thing on the internet of like dads refusing animals and then becoming best friends. It's really quite
Yeah,
heartwarming. But
it's funny too.
so let's get our topic for today. So our topic is God's sovereignty or God's control. So if you just want to share with us your experience, the thoughts that you have when it comes to this idea, I think especially as we kind of reflect on where we're at and just our normal everyday life is changed up and has been for quite some time now. So I'll let you take it away.
So I think specifically around this time, it's kind of easy for everybody, and I'm not just saying Christians or non-Christians, like everybody's thinking, what's going to happen after this? How are we going to come back from this? And I think it's really easy to, I guess, kind of forget that this virus, this pandemic didn't take God by surprise, and he knew it was coming. And, in his own ways, he's been preparing us, and I think that it's easy to forget that. But, and I know a lot of people who are used to being busy and like the busy lifestyle are having a tough time because, they're trying to take it slow, step by step. And it's a difficult process to do that when you've never really had to do that before. But as Christians, we have that hope and we have that, ability to see that God's there and he has his hand over it and he's controlling all of it. And it's really comforting for us, and we're lucky to be able to have that. And it's hard not to take it for granted, and it's hard to just say, oh, well, I'll just leave it in God's hands and he'll, do what he wants with it. It's hard to put that trust in him, but it's a day-to-day process that you really you have to put your heart and your mind into it, because if you're just saying, I'll give it to God, he has his control over it. It's one thing just saying that, but if you're not actually believing in it, nothing's going to happen. It's like, oh yeah, I trust that chair's gonna hold me up, but if I'm never gonna sit in it, then how am I gonna know? So it's almost like that leap of faith, kind of. But especially, I know my family is a really busy family. We always have different schedules going on, and everybody's everywhere. And my mom is this place and this place at one time, and it's difficult to kind of not have that. And it's reluctant almost, because we get so used to that lifestyle that now that we're here, it's kind of like, well, I'm just like sitting here all day. Like, I don't really know what to do. So it's kind of easy to just sit here and be like, I mean, like, why would God let the entire world go through this? And why would he let everything like this happen? And you hear a lot of people saying, oh, everything happens for a reason. But when you're not having a lot of time to do anything, you really start to think about it, and you're like, well, what is the reason for this?
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things, like, you don't have a sure answer for it. It's something that you're in the Word, you're praying, you're, continuing your walk with him, because it's not ever going to be like, oh, well, I know for sure this is why he's doing this. That's not God's intent for us. And I know personally, recently, I've been able to get back into my devotions and have a stronger walk with him. And I've kind of gotten to where it's not like I'm feeling apathy, like I just don't care. It's just kind of more like I'm a little bit more relaxed, because God has provided over and over and over again. I know, especially for my family, and I know so many families in our church where it almost seems like an impossible situation, and somehow every single time their needs are met, or, somehow their prayers are answered. And I just think about those times, and I'm thinking, nothing's too big for him. Like, it's not, oh, well, this time, I don't know if he can handle this one, but
Yeah.
It's comforting to know that he's bigger than all that, and that he definitely has that control for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of to unpack there. Before we go any further, I just want to read a quick verse that I think speaks to this idea of, the question is, why does God allow this? Or even, because I think when we look at this picture, it's like another question we ask is, where is God, right? God must not care to allow something like this to happen. But if we turn to Psalms 139, in verse 7 says, where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. So really, just quickly, the author here is just basically saying, like, where will I go that you aren't there? There's nowhere I can run. There's nowhere I can hide. God is always there. And even kind of just tying this into the creation story, it lends itself to that, as in the beginning, God, and God created heaven and the earth. God created the entire world. We are his creation. And in that idea, right, we are God's creation. And through that, God isn't somebody that isn't just a God that just created it and let it go. We see over and over again, just like in this verse, where will I go? God is active in our lives. He is there. And in times of trouble, where it's like, what is going on? What is the purpose of this? That doesn't make God any further away, any different. God is the same. And we go back to, like you mentioned, we've seen aspects of God working. There's proof in our lives that we go back to and rely on, that we say, we know this is true because this happened. Or, we've seen God prove himself over and over again. So it's not a blind faith. There's a faith that we have, and there's a surety that we have our hope in, right? There's definitive proof. which is a great idea. So how, when you ask yourself, what is the purpose of this? And when you come to the answer, I don't know, because I think everyone does that. I know in my own life, there's been questions like that of like, what is happening? Why is it happening? And we still don't know. How do you find your hope in God at those times when you don't know why something's happening?
It's kind of a tough situation when our when our religion is based off of faith, and somebody asks you, well, what's the purpose of it? And you're just saying, well, I don't know what it is right now.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest part is just having that relationship with him and keeping it strong. And, it's kind of like if you don't know, but you don't really get in the word or search for, I guess you could say answers, not answers, but for comfort, and you're not really searching for that, then I guess you don't really care, kind of. So if I said that I didn't know what it was, but then I didn't really look in my Bible or pray or try to have a relationship with him, then I don't really have the liability or the ability to say that, I would be able to know. And it's kind of just having that faith in him and looking from where he has provided and where circumstances that seem impossible that he's helped people and that he's served and never, been absent in our lives, just constantly being there for us and knowing that he's there. Even if we don't know exactly what's going to happen, it's okay. And it's okay to not know what will happen next, because we don't have to know. We just know that God has a purpose for it all. And he's it, even though we don't really see it, how it could possibly be good right now, he'll show us that he's still there. He's still here. And this never surprised him. He just, the world is in a pandemic right now. Like, I didn't know this would happen. He knew.
Yeah.
And also knowing that he knew before this ever happened is a comfort for us to know that it didn't take him by surprise and he has a plan for it all.
Yeah, I really like what you said at the beginning, that you can say, I don't know. Like, why is this happening? Sometimes we don't know. And I think that we need to be honest with ourselves and with people that ask us that question, because I think if we can't know the mind of God sometimes, at any time, right? And when the answer is, I don't know, we need to be honest with that answer and saying, I don't know. And then, like you said, continuing in our faith that God is still in control, and that just because we don't have an exact answer doesn't mean that it is all for nothing. Or, we may not know time and time again until, 2 or 3 or 5 years down the road what in the world happened here, and then we look back and say, oh, this is what God was doing in my life, this is what God was showing me. And so it's not immediate, and we have a hard time with that immediate response, right? We want things immediately. I literally just ordered something online and picked up the store like 10 minutes later. Like, immediacy is what our lives are about right now. Even in the pandemic, right? That is still an option, immediacy. And so we have to kind of put ourselves second in that aspect of that. We don't always know right away, that it isn't about immediately responding and having the answers right away, that God is still in control when we don't know. So I think it's a really great point that you had there, that I don't know is a perfectly acceptable answer. And then we continue to trust God through it. Well, that was really good. I appreciate your thoughts on this, and just coming from your experience and just sharing where you're at. I think that's going to be really beneficial for the people that end up watching this. So switching gears back just as we close. So how have you been doing with no basketball season? I mean, you're a big Spurs fan, so how are you doing with that? Are you okay?
I'm okay. I think it would be a little bit easier to pass the time to be able to turn on the TV and watch basketball game. And I mean, you can watch old ones. They're
Right.
like old things or whatever. But to be honest, our team this year was struggling. They definitely don't exactly. I think
So you're
Pop
one of the
Pop is a great coach. Look, I'm a great Spurs fan, but I'm not one of those people who's like blind. I'm a realist. Okay, I know that they weren't the best this year. Don't really know what Pop was doing. If he wanted to lose to have first pick in the draft, like I don't know.
Hey, they did it for David Robinson. Or no,
You're
Tim
right.
Duncan. They did it for Tim Duncan, and that turned him around.
Yeah,
So,
that's but
you got to
you know,
retool.
but there's always something going on with Pop. I think he just I guess we didn't see what his plan was going to turn out to be, but
Yeah.
if they had some secret that they were going to release or something, I would love to know.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be nice to be able to see some current basketball games to pass the time.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, I know. So we're in North Carolina, and Duke UNC is a big thing, right? So I never jumped on a bandwagon. I don't know where you stand on that, Duke or UNC. Do you have a preference, or are you just straight Spurs?
Well, I don't really. It's hard to say because usually I Carolina. I go with
Okay.
Carolina.
Okay. So here, everybody
So,
has their conspiracy theories about coronavirus, but here's mine. Mine is that UNC wanted this to happen because their season was so bad that
oh
they're like, oh, 2020 doesn't count. They're like, fine by us. So it's like, the blue blood school doesn't, kind of like what you're saying with the Spurs, like it's probably better that their season got cut
yeah,
short
it's
because
just and
we'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
yeah, I feel bad that I'm saying I'm a Carolina fan. I'm not like I don't know anybody who's on the team. Like I'm sorry, I don't know. Like if you say a name,
Yeah.
I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
But it's just I don't know. I just kind of go with them just because the Duke is kind of a devil, and I don't really affiliate with that. So
Yeah, I haven't chosen living in North Carolina, but not like growing up here. I decided to stay in the middle so that I can jump bandwagons. Like normally I don't do
yes,
that, but like it's just fun around here. Like when like Duke's doing good to pick on the North Carolina people, and then when North
yes.
Carolina's doing good, like it's a freedom to mess with people, and
And they're so vicious. All the fans are
yeah,
so. It's just funny
it's
to watch.
scary.
Our blue is better and stuff. I just kind of sit back and observe.
Yeah, right.
It's fun.
There's a little bit of freedom in a world full of college sport fanatics and not having the same value. So it's really enjoyable for me. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. One final question: your hand soap. What is your hand soap scent that you use your go-to?
It's I don't really know what it's called. It's like a lemon not flavor. A lemon like scent kind of. I don't
Yeah.
really know what it
Do you
is. It's
pick it
one of
out, or
their.
did just your mom put it in the
It's my
bathroom?
mother. It's
Yeah.
my mom. Actually, it's actually the one at our kitchen sink right now. It's
Yeah.
I don't remember what it's called, but it has. I'm pretty sure it has like essential oils or something in it, of course. But
There it is. Lemon essential oil soap. That makes sense.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. Appreciate your thoughts, and we will talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.